This is Norwich on a Saturday night in January. Tania Williams is 49, a mother of 4, and she is out with friends. And this is her estranged husband. Different street, different camera, different bar. He is going from bar to bar looking for her. He doesn't know it yet, but almost every step he takes tonight is being recorded. And in 7 months' time, a jury will watch all of it in order. Because nobody filmed what happened to Tania Williams at 11:30. The cameras stop at the corner of her road. What convicted the man who killed her was everything on either side of that gap. He denied it for 7 months, and in the interview room, he said nothing at all. Tania Williams was 49 years old, a mother of 4. For about 7 years, she'd worked on the site team at City College, Norwich, over on the Ipswich Road campus, where colleagues remembered her as helpful and supportive. A friend described her simply as charismatic and colourful. She and Raymond Williams had been married for 26 years, and 3 of her 4 children were his. By the January of 2026, that marriage was over. They'd separated roughly 4 months earlier, and he'd moved into shared accommodation in Norwich. There's something in this story from 7 years before it. In April 2019, Williams was alleged to have gone to Tania's address after a night out and to have assaulted and threatened her. Tania later withdrew her statement and the investigation was discontinued. No findings was ever made against him, but that evidence was heard by the jury at his murder trial in 2026. And it's a pattern anyone who works in domestic abuse will recognize immediately. A report made, a statement withdrawn, a file closed. It happens constantly for reasons that usually have far more to do with fear than with doubt. Saturday the 17th of January 2026. Tania goes into Norwich for a night out with friends, and the cameras pick up Raymond Williams leaving his shared accommodation and heading into the city centre. The prosecution's word for what he was that night was jealous. The court heard he was consumed by it, and eventually he finds her at Revolución de Cuba on Queen Street. Inside, Tania is with friends. There's a man with her, and Williams goes over to him. He tells him that he and Tania are still married, and he points to his wedding ring. A man separated for 4 months, standing in a bar he spent all evening hunting for, telling a stranger she still belonged to him. They leave together, and the camera catches something you don't need a lawyer to interpret. She's keeping her distance from him. Then they separate. Tania goes one way, towards her bus home, and William goes the other way. He's filmed jogging down Wensum Street towards his white Vauxhall Corsa parked on Fishergate. She went home the slow way. He went the fast way, but he didn't go home. From here, there are 2 journeys, and they're heading for the same place. Tania is on a bus across the city on her way back to Catherine Gardens in Fort St Andrew. The cameras pick her up getting off it and walking towards her home, and Williams' Corsa is captured parked in Yarmouth Road, close to Catherine Gardens. The prosecution case was that he was there waiting for her to come back. At 11:30, the people who live around Catherine Gardens heard screaming. One neighbour heard a woman's voice. What she said was, "What are you going to do? Kill me." Tania Williams was found on the ground in a pool of blood, yards from her front door. Her neighbours tried to help her. So did the paramedics. She died from blood loss from a wound to her neck. And there's no camera on any of it, not one. Whatever happened in that street happened in the only gap in the entire evening. What happens next is the part he thought he covered. Raymond Williams had served years earlier as a police community support officer. He knew, at least in outline, how an investigation works. And over the next 2 hours, he behaved like a man who knew exactly what the police would be looking for. He got rid of everything he'd been wearing that evening. The cameras caught him moving around bins in alleyways near his accommodation. And then he took off his watch, a watch Tania had given him, and he dropped it down the drain. Every one of those decisions was designed to leave no trace. Every one of them was filmed. Two hours after Tania was attacked, armed police arrested Raymond Williams at his accommodation. He was dressed completely differently.
Raymond, show me your hands. Walk slowly towards me. Hang up the phone. Walk towards me. Right, stop. Down onto your knees. Go down onto your knees now.
I'm asking you what's going on.
Raymond, down the floor, please. Down the floor, friend.
Down onto the floor. Down onto the floor. Get down onto the floor.
Gently. Down the floor. Gently.
Right.
On the floor. Raymond, on the floor. Raymond, this is me.
You're under arrest for murder.
What? You're under arrest for murder of Tania Williams. You don't have to say anything, mate.
What happened after that, we know from the court record, rather than from any camera. In custody, Raymond Williams answered no comment to every question put to him. That was his right, and it's worth saying so clearly. But the law also allows a court, in certain circumstances, to draw an adverse inference from silence, where a defendant fails to mention something he later relies on. Silence is a right. It isn't always a free one. And then there's a small detail that tells you a great deal. Police wanted his nail clippings. In a case involving a struggle and a blade, that's an obvious thing to want. He refused to give them voluntarily, so they were taken anyway under the powers that exist for precisely that reason. At Norwich Crown Court, Williams denied murder, and his defence had one genuinely strong point available to it. Nobody saw him do it. There's no footage of the attack. The case against him was circumstantial. Here's the thing most people get wrong about the word circumstantial. Doesn't mean weak. It means evidence you reason from, rather than evidence you watch. And a jury is entitled to convict on it alone, provided that taken together it makes them sure. So consider what was taken together here. A man consumed by jealousy, a search from bar to bar across a city, a confrontation about a wedding ring, a woman visibly keeping her distance, a sprint to a car while she walked to a bus, that car parked near her home before she got there, screams at 11:30, a woman asking if he was going to kill her, and then bins, alleyways, and a watch down a drain, a complete change of clothes, and silence in the interview room. A jury doesn't need a camera on that moment. It needs a sequence it cannot explain any other way. This one took them 3.5 hours. They came back unanimous, guilty of murder. Raymond Williams will be sentenced at Norwich Crown Court on the 21st of September. Murder carries a mandatory life sentence. What the judge decides is the minimum term he must serve before he can even be considered for release. We'll cover it when it happens. The senior investigating officer, Detective Inspector Sam Poynton, called it a thorough and complex investigation and said that while no verdict can undo the pain of Tania's death, he hoped it gave her family some measure of justice. And there's the other thing, the one from 2019, a report of an assault and a threat, a statement withdrawn, an investigation discontinued. We're not going to pretend we know what would have happened if that file had stayed open, because nobody does. But it's the part of this case worth sitting with, because that sequence, report and withdraw and closure, plays out somewhere in this country every single day. The people who reached Tania Williams first that night were her neighbours. They came out of their houses and they tried to save her. They are the reason anyone knows what she said that night. She was 49. She had 4 children. She had worked at the same college for 7 years, and the people there called her helpful and supportive and kind.